So I kind of welcome back, by the way. So I know a little bit about your background. Can you let our viewers know if they don't know of your background?
Yeah, well, I got started in the paranormal in 2006. I founded the American Paranormal Research Association to solely investigate historical locations across the United States. And I kind of got started at a young age. In 1995, I lost a brother to cancer. In 2004, I lost another brother to suicide. So that kind of sent me on my journey into the unexplained.
Yeah, my journey started about 3 years ago, actually. Um, that wasn't related to any what you were just talking about, but I've had my experiences. I've had lived in haunted houses. Um, so it's been a journey. A friend of mine got me started, and I've been hooked ever since. So how is it like when you got the call to be on Ghost Hunters?
Well, it was awesome, man. I've always been involved in paranormal, since 2006 and always had an interest since a young age. So to be part of Ghost Hunters was awesome. And to, go out there and investigate as many locations as I did was a great experience. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I actually had the privilege of meeting Jason Hawes and his team, and also I've met Brian and Rochelle as well. So that was kind of cool to be able to do. And then Daryl's will be on our podcast on the 5th. So,
Very nice. That's awesome, man. They're all great people, and it's been a pleasure working with them. It was a fun ride on Ghost Hunters, the 2 seasons that we did, and we had some great times. That's for sure.
yeah, I've enjoyed watching, like I said, from day one when Taps started. So it was one of my favorite shows. So I've been a fan ever since. So what was your very favorite location, and also if you were feared of any location?
Well, I've been lucky enough to investigate in 49 states, and it's been a crazy ride. But I have to say probably the RMS Queen Mary is one of my favorite locations I've ever investigated. Never been really afraid of a specific location, but I would have to say that the RMS Queen Mary is definitely a location that I love to investigate and have been lucky enough to investigate there since 2008, and a place I've collected probably the most data and the most evidence out of any location I've ever been to.
Yeah, I love the Queen Mary. I never been there, but I love the historical part of it, and watching it on TV. All the trimmings on that ship is just amazing.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. A lot of history, a lot of World War II history, and even going prior to that. But a place that has a lot of supernatural activity taking place. For a number of years, people have talked about experiencing a little girl in the ship, also
Hmm.
experiencing uh, various other phenomena. But I was lucky enough to capture a few pieces of evidence and data that support that there's some kind of activity taking place with a little girl there.
Yeah, and so I know you guys have been to a lot of places on Ghost Hunters. Is there anyone that stuck out to you the most evidence-wise with those locations, or is it just the Queen Mary?
I had to say probably Fort Stanton, New Mexico, was a location that we captured some pretty significant evidence. Again, I'm a natural skeptic, so to me, I can't say one way or another if there's actually some kind of uh, ghostly activity happening. I can't say if it's a ghost one way or another, but we have collected some things that I can't quite explain. I think Fort Stanton was a good example of that, especially there in the tuberculosis hospital. where we captured this image of looks like a woman in a hallway that some of the most credible eyewitnesses we've ever talked to said they saw the exact same thing in that exact same area. So that's a location I can't really quite explain. So is it haunted? Possibly. Is there something I can't explain going on? Yes. But definitely a location we captured some evidence I definitely leaves me thinking more, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've my first capture of a shadow was at a private home. I don't want to disclose that location, but I've had good evidence there. The owner had told us it was a poltergeist type activity, but we didn't experience that. But we had a lot of movement and noises, that kind of thing. But I had took your advice of getting the GoPro cameras, and that's where I caught the shadow from. So that was kind of cool.
That's awesome, man. You have to like cover the area as much as possible. Obviously, anytime you're investigating, the most coverage, the best. So anytime you can implement any kind of devices that are going to control the situation as much as possible, that's what you're looking for. That's for sure.
Yeah, because when we were there, like when I captured it on that one, we were all on the main level. That was on the second level. So I'm like you guys. We try to debunk anything that we can, and if we can't, then we can't. So it's like this one. We even did slow motion, and we couldn't debunk that shadow figure that we captured on a wall. So it was pretty cool, and I actually got a voice off of it as well during that time. So can't really go wrong there.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I can send you that clip just to get your take on it. But yeah, that location was fairly active. I've been to quite a few. I've been to a theater, which we both know those are notorious for hauntings. Also, I've been to a brothel. I've been to an asylum. I've been to a winery as well. So I've been over a lot of places here in Wisconsin that are pretty active. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, so far it's been a fun ride. I never encountered anything negative, and if I have to, I will. But I prefer not to. But you gotta do it. You gotta do it to help people. So
Absolutely. Same here. I wouldn't say I encountered anything quite negative yet. I've been in some situations that could be, say classified as intense, but nothing that's negative. That's for sure.
yeah, yeah. Even when I was in the brothel, we've had a lot of activity there. We actually stayed over that overnight, and when we were doing the investigation, I was sitting down and I felt like something was actually sitting on my lap, and that's how much pressure that was. And it was just we didn't capture it, but it was there. We had our equipment going off like crazy near me, so it was pretty cool. So what's your favorite piece of equipment that you like the most?
I'd probably say the EMCCD camera that we've been using in the past few years. It's a nice scientific piece of equipment that helps us try and detect photon events, which is something that we've been studying for about 5 years now, and it's something
Mm-hmm.
that has provided great results. So, again, we're trying to find anything that has quantifiable data or information that we can hand off to third parties that can help us understand if it's something that's natural or something we can't quite explain. So again, I'm not a scientist, and the people I work with on the team are not scientists, but we've been lucky enough to have Dr. Harry Floor, who's the first person in history to receive two PhDs simultaneously, who is a scientist and is a scientist that's been doing this for many, many years. Just got into the paranormal game with us, but we're looking for anything that we can find that can be tested and analyzed by people that have far more brilliant minds than ourselves. So, again, we want to find something that we can try and find quantifiable data and understand if there is something supernatural actually taking place.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Has there any been location that you guys been to that your name's been called?
Not that I can think of. No, not personally. Maybe other people in the team, but for me personally, no, I can't think of that. It's you know, finding data is very rare for us, and trying to
Yeah.
find something that we can't explain is very rare. But yeah, that would be a question I think for the rest of the team. Maybe they've had that happen per se, but not for myself.
Hmm. Yeah, because it was weird when like nearly every location I've been to except for maybe one or two, my name has been directly been called. Some more than one. So I don't know if that's something good or you know what I mean. It's just one of those things like if it's intelligent enough for them to say my name or anyone's name is pretty intense.
I can imagine that would be pretty intense. Again, that's not something I've encountered personally, but I've heard of that before, for sure. But for me, it's not something I've quite encountered. But it's not definitely out of the realm of possibility. That's for sure.
So when you're on investigations, have you ever had anything follow you home?
I actually have once. This is back, gosh, I think 2008, 2009, when I investigated a location in Southern California called Heritage Junction Park. We captured a voice that was very interesting to say the least. But I came back home about 90 miles away where I was living at the time, and I captured the same voice in the apartment I was living in. And something I've actually analyzed, had looked at through spectrum analysis, and it was actually the same voice, which is interesting. So I can say for sure I have been followed home once, and it's definitely something I'll never forget. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've never had anything follow me home. I mean, I do have family members that have passed that follow me everywhere. But a lot of the times I feel like they're around when I'm doing investigations with my teams. That one that I help with when I podcast now that I'll be starting next month. But with my team, yeah, I feel their presence all over the place. I almost feel like they're making it to where I'm nothing follows me home.
Wait, you said you had actually family members that follow you around, and you've communicated with them?
Yep, I do communicate with them quite often. They come and go with my home, but when I go places, they tend to follow me around, but they don't mess with the investigation and all. They just make sure nothing follows me home afterwards.
Do you mind me asking exactly who's been following you around from your family?
Um, my grandparents mainly have been, just because I was so close to them in life that they've been extremely close, even more in the spiritual realm, and it's pretty amazing that they do follow me around. So
Well, that's interesting because the new show that we've been shooting is about like family hauntings and people that are actually encountering their deceased relatives. So that's interesting you bring that up because that's something actually we've been studying as a case study for the past year is people that have been actually encountering and possibly communicating with their deceased relatives. So that's really interesting to hear about.
yeah, I'm I'm not one to freak out like most. I recently did an investigation at, I don't know if you heard of Old Juliet Prison, but I investigated there and I wasn't really scared like most people were. I was sat in their cells for a good 45 minutes by myself, including up in death row. So it's like I'm just more natural with the paranormal than most people. I don't know if you ever been to that location?
I have not. I've heard a lot about it. Would love to go there though one day. I was just at Brushy not too long ago in Tennessee. Beautiful location, a lot of history, a lot of supernatural history as well. But I have not been to Joliet yet. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I was there with a public event with Dave Schrader and Shane Pittman. They hosted an event there, and when I was there, I felt fine except for um, like that place was massive. So when you're not used to walking big locations like that, it really gets you afterwards.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
What's what's the biggest location you have done so far?
That's a good question. Oh man, I have to think about that for a second. Been to a lot of large locations. Geez, probably Fort Stanton, like we mentioned earlier, because it was such a big compound. It's such a large location that actually has its own zip code. So I
Oh
mean, there's so many buildings there that it encompasses such a large area that it has its own zip code. So probably say Fort Stanton for sure.
yeah, solely for me with locations, I would say Juliet Prison was the biggest one. For my team wise, um, Shipway State Asylum was our biggest. So that has tunnels, it has four different wings, and there are also three levels. So yeah, that was one of my biggest locations. So yeah, I've been quite a few. Do you guys ever do cemeteries at all?
I have in the past, not something like we typically investigate, but back when I was living in Southern California, I did investigate a location called Nordoff Cemetery, which has a lot of stories associated with it. And one particular area of that cemetery that had a unknown grave that we did investigate one time long ago, and we did capture a very interesting audio recording there of a kid. So it's not something we typically focus on, but definitely got something there that we can't explain. So it's again not the focus of our investigations, but we're always open to looking into any kind of unexplained claim, and if we can find something associated with it, that's always a win.
Yeah, it's always when in my town we have a cemetery that's active, and I went there. I'm a sensitive, so I'm more of a scientific like you guys are, but there's places where I've been drawn to certain parts of the location, and that was one of the locations. And it was the military section that I was drawn to. And it was to a specific grave, and it was weird because this person, his first name is my grandfather's first name. And also, they both served in World War II. So I was like, okay, that's a little weird.
Wow, that definitely. I mean, like the, I guess certain people think there's coincidences, but you never know. So I mean, World
Right.
War II and your grandfather's same name, that's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like compelled to go back there. But, yeah, I don't know. I want to go back to nearly every location I've been to. Is there anyone that you prefer that you've been to more? That would go more often?
I would love to go back to Queen Mary again. Again, another location I've captured a lot of evidence associated with the ship, and so I would love to go back there. I mean, in my opinion, anytime you can observe a location for an extended period of time, that's the better. So, the most you can understand the environmental conditions associated with the place, the more you can understand the workings of a location, the more I think you can capture data, possible data, associated with supernatural activity.
Yeah, my most favorite, I would say, would have to be the brothel I was talking about. I've investigated there twice now, and I just love that place. That particular location, it's got history all the way down to Al Capone. He was there. His men were there, and it's just an amazing location. Have you done any investigations like that where notorious people like that have been?
Yeah, actually, we just did a location for Haunted Discoveries where Jesse James spent a significant amount of time in. So we went there to, it's actually the oldest stagecoach stop in the country, a building built in the late 1700s, a place that's the oldest bourbon bar in the country, and a location that has a lot of history. So we went and investigated not only the Talbot Tavern, but also the Jailer's Inn, which both has a lot of Jesse James history associated with it. So that was a lot of fun for sure.
Are you able to see the screen that I am able to see for comments?
I'm not, no.
Okay, one has asked, have you investigated the Shimes house and Lake Ashmore?
You said
Or
the Shine
I,
House?
yeah.
We did investigate a Shine House in Cumberland, in Kentucky, which was a really cool place. Amazing activity that we got there, but not in that specific location. But we did investigate a Shine House, so that's interesting.
Yeah, because one of our questions was that, and that's why had asked that. Yeah, Illinois was the very first out of state for me as far as investigations. Next weekend I'll be in Minnesota, so that'll be my second. So I've been trying to help teams like the one I'm a part of, um, help with them on locations when they need it. So it's been a fun ride to have people trust you and be able to do these type of events. But yeah, I love doing the paranormal. I know my family highly supports it, even though they would never do it. But yeah, my family always supports what I do.
That's great, man. Anytime we're like trying to do something that's gonna hopefully expand the minds of other people, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've had people ask me why you do it. It's like, well, why wouldn't I? I mean, the traveling's fun, the locations are fun, the people are nice that you meet. Um, when you go to historical places, you get more access than most do. So it's a win-win for us investigators when we go out, and helping people is even more, um, for me, rewarding versus, you know, anything else.
Absolutely, that's what it's about, man. Trying to help people is always great, and anytime we can give information and try and help someone, that's the key, right?
Yep. Yeah. I was just saying, like I was saying earlier, I was telling a lot of my friends, like, when I go out with my team or whoever, I actually follow your guys' techniques and how you guys handle things in an investigation with owners and spirits, and we've had a blast, and we've gotten a lot of evidence, and we're actually welcome back anytime we want. So that's always a plus.
Fantastic, absolutely.
So yeah, it's just I love doing what I do. My I had a friend of mine ask what I always wanted to do, and I'm like, well, right now I'm doing what I love doing is investigating. I'm a night owl, so that helps. I feel free when I'm investigating. I don't know, it feels weird that way, but I do. I feel free when I'm investigating. I don't know if you guys feel that way or whatnot, but I know I do.
Oh no, I can definitely agree with that. It, first and foremost for me is it's nice to be in historical places with a lot of access and really learning a lot more history than you typically would in a location. So that's always been fun for me. Like it's like reliving history in a sense.
Yep, yeah, and the other thing I like doing is, if I not only be able to help homeowners and business owners, but helping the spirits out is more rewarding to me than anything to make them feel more happy and be able to move on if they want to. It's just that's one of my main goals too is to help the spirits out. Like I had another home case that I did, and it was the same thing. It was a poltergeist activity that she had, and she couldn't understand why. And then we got there, we did our investigation, and come to find out, they just wanted attention. They couldn't figure out how to get her attention, and that's how they lashed out was poltergeist activity. And then ever since then, hasn't had any activity since. Have you guys ever had cases like that, like on ghost hunters or haunted discoveries?
Oh yeah, like anytime we can help somebody like resolve their issues, sometimes it's more psychological than anything. But anytime we help somebody and help them resolve any issue that they have, we are there to help in any way we can. But a lot of the times there's more practical and natural explanations to what's happening than anything else. So you know it's it's always a balancing act in a way where you have to understand what's natural and what's something that could be something we can't explain. So that's why we always consult technical professionals from other technical industries that can help us
Yeah,
understand if something is natural or something we can't quite explain. So again, it's always kind of a balancing act.
yeah, I feel the same way because I like helping the owners and the spirits if I can help them coexist with us people that I've done my job. And I go in as a skeptic, but I also go in as open minded, and I do try to debunk whatever I can, but a lot of times I haven't been able to. But yeah, eventually, I would actually like to work with you guys sometime. Bring you guys. I don't know if you've ever been out to Wisconsin at all. Have you guys?
Not with the show, no. It would be great to get out there, though, man. That would be fantastic. We would love to do that.
Um, I can try to make that happen with a couple locations. Um, I know the owners and stuff, so I can make that happen when you guys have time.
That would be awesome, man. We would love that, Casey. Thank you so much.
What states have you not been in as far as ghost hunters and your team now?
The only state we haven't been to is Hawaii. That's the only one I haven't been to with APRA, the American Paranormal Research Association. So hopefully one day we can get out there. But Hawaii is the only one we haven't been to, and a place that we would like to get to. We've heard a lot of stories about the area, and it would be great to get out there and check it out.
Hopefully. Can you hear me? Are you able? Yeah.
You're awesome.
Well, not just that, but
You make it fine all the time.
I want to have to end the stream because you left too.
Oops.
Sorry guys for the podcast like this.